What is up, guys? Private Eye Russ here. Excuse me. And welcome to another episode of the Private Eye Russ Show. I am your host, Private Eye Russ, owner, operator, full-service private investigation and consulting firm, criminal defense investigations, litigation support investigation, corporate theft investigation, one-on-one personal development coaching, threat mitigation, and strategic planning. If you have an issue and you can't find a way out and you need help navigating your way through that issue, that is one of the things I specialize in. Sometimes they take a long time. Sometimes it's a short, easy fix, but I'll get you through it. Reach out to me. Links will be in the description below. There's my contact page as far as the website. There's Discord. Follow me on X as well, too, at Private Eye Russ. So let's go ahead and get into this. This one is a little bit of a, not a little bit, this is a very sensitive issue. It is an issue that has been going on for a very long time. It's an old issue, but it's still relevant today. And so we're going to hear from one of the victims of Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein and see what she has to say. So let's go ahead and go into this. Fair use.
Maria Farmer, as you know, another Epstein survivor. And she said in the clip that we showed, she's never met a more predatory human being in her entire life than Ghislaine Maxwell. One, do you agree with that characterization? And two, how does it make you feel to know that the number two person in the Justice Department just spent 2 days alone with her, talking to her about the case, and now all the talk is about, well, what's going to come of it? Could a pardon come from those conversations?
I can say my experience with Ghislaine Maxwell. So what's interesting about what Maria has stated about her, I agree with that. And here is why. She did not present herself as evil and as a monster and as someone that's going to put my life or my well-being in harm's way. She came.
Truth. Let me interject there really quickly. So I think many of us have this bias that we think someone evil is going to look a certain way. You know, like some dude who just crawled out of the swamps or whatever it might be, or a woman who crawled out of the swamps. Oftentimes, some of the most evil and dastardly people can be hidden in a cloak of beauty. There are people who are really good-looking people who present themselves well. You got to remember, for a lot of these people to gain access to victims, they have to be charming. And so they're extra charming, they're extra smooth, they're very, very polished, and they understand how to do what? How to gain your trust very, very rapidly. They are masters of human hacking or social engineering, you might want to call it. And so, but instead of using their talents for good, they're obviously using their talents for evil. Some of you know or may not know, I volunteer some of my time as an investigator when they send the signal flare-up to search for missing and exploited children for a couple of non-profit organizations. I've been doing this for about 15 years. And so I've got a lot of experience, unfortunately, with children being trafficking, other humans, adults being trafficked. And it's always just vile and disgusting. But here's something I've noticed over the years. You would think it's all men, but it's not all men, unfortunately, or whatever the case is. It's just an equal distribution, not completely equal. I would say probably 70% of them are men that are doing the victimizing. However, many of them were using women to help lure the victims in, and apparently this was exactly what was going on with Ghislaine Maxwell. And, I know, you hear about all the conspiracy theories and all the rest of this stuff. Look, Jeffrey Epstein, whether he deleted himself or not, I don't care. I would think that in a proper and just world that he would suffer before his demise, but he was taken off the planet. And look, even if there was a conspiracy to get rid of him and to get him off the map, which there's a lot that kind of, I know it's been refuted recently by the FBI director, Kash Patel. However, I'm not really buying it. I'm just not buying it. Now, why would they hide that? I'm sure they have a reason to, but we may never know. Now, are there legitimate reasons to hide things like that? Yeah, there could be. But, Jeffrey Epstein going into general population, even if he checked into protective custody, PC, man, his life wouldn't have been worth two nickels. Somebody would have gotten to him. Somebody would have paid somebody off. Some lifer would have taken him out. He was never going to die a peaceful death. He wasn't going to die in his sleep. So now the whole Ghislaine Maxwell thing, could she get a pardon? You know, I hate to say this, but she could very well. I've worked on cases where some really vile people were able to pretty much get out of jail free cards because they may have been vile, but they had information or documentation or evidence on someone even more vile that the government was after. And so does that happen? That's how Jeffrey Epstein got his first deal. Remember, you know, he got a deal that gave him immunity, and he got a get out of jail free card because he dimed somebody out. He told, you know, he dropped a dime, picked up that cell phone, said, you know, he did it, you know, and that's what he did to get out, right? So, you know, what would you expect from a weasel, you know, an evil weasel like that guy, right? So part of the reason a lot of people, myself included, think that he got forcefully deleted. I don't think it was a self-deletion. But again, I didn't see any videos. I don't know anything about it. I haven't looked into it. And there's a lot of stuff that we probably will never see. Is that people who may have been participants in some of the vile activity that took place on Little St. John's Island, right, with Epstein Island, whatever you want to call it. Now, let's go ahead and separate something. Everybody who went there was not involved in chicanery and evil doings and the victimization of children. Everybody who did, like there's too many people who went there. So he was known to be a party guy, celebrity parties, all the rest of this stuff. And so people would go hang out with him because, you know, there's a luxury place, you know, people get flown out there for free. Everybody who went there was not a criminal and a, you know, an assaulter of children, let's just say. So now, are there some people that are? Yeah. And so these people who didn't get dimed out the first time, they saw him get arrested again and like, oh, wait a second, man. He's, you know, he's probably going to talk. And so if I were one of those guys, would I want him deleted? Probably. You know, not that I would ever engage in something like that, but I can see how they would be motivated to get rid of him. Ghislaine Maxwell has kept her mouth shut, supposedly, allegedly, maybe, so far. And so if she dimes certain people out and she gets out of jail, how long is she going to last out in the open? I don't know. So anyway, let's keep going. Fair use.
Came at me with politeness, with openness, with friendliness, you know, with making emotional connections with me, with the ability then to build this trust with me within hours. So her presence and her approach to me was so meticulously calculated that her intention behind all of this, I would even say, you know, beautiful humanitarian woman to woman interaction, it was all to fool me. It was all to get me to think one thing and believe that I was in as I said, a safe and healthy environment, when actually she was setting me up to then go into tragedy. When I'm contemplating and learning and listening about potential deals being stricken or released from prison, you know, what comes to mind a few times already is, are we actually going to have another sweetheart deal? I don't feel good about it at all, because I do take into consideration, and I feel like everyone should, the fact that she has been charged with perjury. She's already risen her right hand and sworn under oath that she would tell the truth and nothing but the truth. And she sat there and lied. What should we all think and feel then? You know, how concerned? I would be very concerned.
All right. And, you know, shout out to the victims. Tough situation to be in. All right. So here's the thing. Would she get some kind of deal? It all depends on what she has to trade back. Now, has the government given people deals and gotten nothing back in return? Frequently. But let's go even wind it back even further. Okay. So allegedly, this island was wired for sound and video. So there were cameras all over the place. And there were rooms set up, and obviously there were a lot of grooming of young underage people that took place as well too. And so the whole purpose of this was blackmail, extortion, whatever you want to call it. And so here's how the blackmail game works. All right. Now, do I have some experience with blackmail? Yes, I do. I've actually had someone try to blackmail several clients. I had people try to blackmail me, which didn't work out in their favor. But again, I'm not your ordinary Joe Blow, and so it just didn't work out the way they wanted to. Maybe one day I'll tell you guys a story about that if you want to. Let's see. Once we get to 2,000 subscribers, I'll go ahead and tell that story. You just got to remind me. I think right now we're like 1,300 or something like that. So we're creeping along, and so the reason people blackmail, and it's an age-old tactic, is because it works, guys. It works. People are embarrassed about things. People don't want, everybody puts up a front, and everybody to a certain extent does put up a front. I'm probably one of the least fronting people you'll ever meet. Like some of the coaching clients I've met in person will tell you that he's exactly the same in person. Yeah, this is me. And so I don't try to pretend to be someone I'm not. I'm not putting up a front or an act because I'm not embarrassed about who I am. This is who I am. I love being in my own skin. I'm not perfect, not by any stretch of the imagination. However, the mistakes I've made, I'm trying to help you guys. And mistakes other people have made, I'm trying to help put in the lessons to help you guys as well too. So the way the blackmail game works, especially with people of power, influence, and wealth, goes like this. So if I get some video and pictures, or if I even just know that you did something foul, or I witnessed that you did something foul, you're going to treat me differently because we have a shared, instance of like you were in the wrong place in the wrong time, and this is what you did, and I know that's what you did. So Jeffrey Epstein went from being a failed, he didn't graduate college, failed stockbroker, to running a hedge fund with billions of dollars. So say, for instance, wealthy investor guy goes to Epstein Island, and he is either tricked into or he willfully engages in some sort of nefarious activity with an underage child. Well, okay, all well and good. I don't even have to threaten you with it. You're on my island. I don't have to threaten you with anything. I'll call him and say, hey, Mr. Deep Pockets. Yeah, hey, how you doing, Russ? Well, I need some help. Well, what is it? Well, I'm starting a hedge fund, and I need some investors. You know what? I got you, Russ. I'm going to wire you $250 million. Oh, thanks. That's how the game works. And so the blackmail game with people of power, you never have to use that evidence. You never have to mention that evidence. They know it exists. And as long as you don't push them too hard, and as long as you don't make the ask too much, you know what I'm saying? So the ask can't be so great that they're willing to risk the embarrassment. And so apparently he was really good at kind of framing things that way. And people were like, okay, you know what? I'd rather invest in this guy's hedge fund than be called out, maybe go to prison, embarrassed, my family disown me. There's so many things they can lose. A guy can go from being a wealthy, investor, well-respected in the community, donating to charities, all the rest of these things, have a fund or not just an investment fund, but also one of these foundations for charities and all the rest of this stuff, to public pariah, shame, his family name being mud. So people are willing to do these things. People are willing to go the extra yard. I'm not going to speak about whether or not he was involved in any sort of. Look, there are rumors. There are rumors that he was involved in some kind of intelligence operation. And does this happen? Yes, it does. Happens all the time. People get shocked. But here's the thing: spies. We pay spies to lie, cheat, steal, extort, blackmail, set people up, put people against each other, instigate fights. This is what they do, right? This is what they're supposed to do. So would I be shocked if they were using this as a way to collect intelligence? No, I wouldn't be. Why wouldn't they take advantage of that? This is what spies do. I'm not saying it's good, but again, we don't have spies to do nice, good, fuzzy feeling things. We hire them to be vile and underhanded and deceitful. That's what they're supposed to do. So I'm not putting them down because of that. I'm just saying this is the nature of what they do. Just like you don't hate the sky for being blue, you don't get angry at water for being wet. Spies lie, cheat, steal, extort, and blackmail. This is what they do. So were they involved in that? I don't know. There has been no hard evidence. I know allegedly Ghislaine Maxwell's father was involved with an Israeli intelligence group. I don't know which one. It could have been Mossad. I'm not sure. They've got more than one intelligence arms, action arms. They've got a very, 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 very good intelligence apparatus. They really do. Some of the most feared in the world. Actually more feared than the CIA. And again, I'm not saying one way or the other whether that's proper, but I'm saying this is what spies do. So, will she get some kind of deal if she plays her cards right? She might. Should she? No. She was, obviously, allegedly guilty of luring young girls, helping groom them, along with Jeffrey Epstein, to perform acts of what type of nature on grown men for the purpose of using these young ladies, but also to extortion and blackmail material. So what do I think is going to happen? I think if she plays her cards right, she might very well be walking free at some point in the not too distant future. Will she? Only time will tell. While you guys are here, please hit like, subscribe, share the videos, keep helping us grow, and thank you so much to everyone who has subscribed. Thank you so much. There's a lot more to come. My recording schedule is a little bit weird because of the work schedule I've been on. So besides doing the protection work, I still got to run my investigations and the other investigations I'm working internationally as well as in different parts of the country. And so, but your boy Private Eye Russ can manage it, and I'm still taking the time out to add some value to you guys' life. So please hit that like. All right, and do I think she? I don't know, man. I don't know, guys. Get in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think about whether or not Epstein was deleted. I know where a lot of you guys are gonna fall with this one because I'm probably right there at the same. I just don't see. He would have had to have done a somersault from the top bunk, which only had about 3 feet of clearance, for his neck to have snapped the way it did, according to the pictures I've seen. And so look, okay, could it have happened? It could have, maybe he was a trapeze artist in a previous profession and he was just really, really just athletic like that and nimble. However, yeah, I'm going along with unwilling deletion. But again, that's all my opinion. What do I know? I'm just a humble private investigator. I know nothing. Let me know what you guys think. Furthermore, let me know what you guys think about Ghislaine Maxwell and her future prospects. What is she going to be looking at? Apparently they got a lot of their money, but not all of it. I'm sure she squirreled some away in offshore accounts somewhere. If they were smart, they would have. And apparently they were very smart. Except, they went right back to the same thing they were doing before they got him arrested. They got him arrested almost and put in prison, and he went back to it, which you find a lot of criminals will do this. They'll do the same thing over and over and over again. That's why cops will keep tabs on guys that they know are burglars, gangbangers, grapists, because people tend to do the same thing over and over again. Anyway, it's your boy Private Eye Russ with a reaction video, early morning reaction video. We'll talk to you guys in the next one. Private Eye Russ is out.